Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another singles ink profile. Today we're doing a beautiful blue black, and it is Fountain Pen Revolution Blue Black. I have really been enjoying this ink, and I think you will too. And so let's just dive right in here. We have a water test ready to go, so we'll do that. And then we'll just glance back real quickly at the last one. And I think I know what's going to happen based on the chromatography. I'm starting to get better at predicting. I actually think that we're going to still be able to read this in some fashion, but that's my little prediction. Okay, and then the last profile I did was Ackerman number 11, Treves Turquoise. And it is very typical fountain pen ink that vanished away. And it cleaned out really well from the pens, so I gave it an A. So that was just your quick little update there. So we'll let that work, but I think I'm going to be right about that. We'll get right into the Rhodia Goldbook. This is where I started. And here we go. So, here it is. And it did leave a little bit of red sheen on the Tomoe River sample that I taped in, which I thought was really interesting. And we'll see some more of that on another sample in a minute. But here it is in the broad nib. And then I used Lamy stub nib in my Wingsung 3008 as well. And then I used the Lamy fine nib. So let me hold that up, see if you can see that. I tried to do the little box designators so you could pick up quickly which one was which. But I just love this ink. This sample was from my pen friend Sharon, and I've had it a long time, and I've used it on several comparison panels when we did other blue blacks, but I hadn't gotten around to doing its own profile, and I'm glad I did right when I did, because I don't know how long the sale's going on. It may already be over by now, but they had the 30 mil for $4.80 and the 60 mil for $6.80. Good heavens, that's better than sample prices almost. I mean, you know, that's a lot of ink. And the way this ink is performing in the 3 pens I'm using, I just love it. And I have a really big, generous sample, so I was really excited to show you. Here's the chromatography. I'll get that right up. See what I meant? It kind of stayed semi-permanent, and then the blue rose up, and you can see the purple. So I had a feeling that we'd still be able to read what was on there afterwards. That's why I made that prediction. Okay, so let's get right into the notebooks. The first one is the Little Morriman Spiral Notebook. And we are right here. So, a little bit of red. It's tough to see, but I'll try to get you angled just right. There it is. Little red sheen, but mostly I just see this as a really super economical and super flowy and wicked saturated blue black. So I like it. I'm super excited about this, if you can't tell. I liked it in all the nibs. I was having just a little bit of problems with that stub. Let me show you. Yeah, you know, I've got it in a super cheap pen. I probably should have just put it in a regular Lamy, but I had been wanting to play with this with the stub, and I'm having the nib shift around a little, so I'm trying to work on that. So keep that in mind. It may not be the very best display of what it is going to look like in a stub, but I was doing this experiment more or less for myself. So I mean, I just really love the saturation, the flow, the price, and the color of this ink. So keep that in mind. I'm a little overexcited about it. Maybe I'm a little biased. But here we go. We're going to get into the CVS Caliber. This is CVS Caliber Notebook 4x6. And this is where I saw the most impressive red sheen, was on this little cheap notebook. It just like outlined that whole thing and was real sheeny. For the most part, I wouldn't call this a sheening ink. I wouldn't put that as the #1 attribute or anything. Is in terms of what I see coming out of the nib, although sometimes I could see the little red highlight from there, but it just, you know, I'm just pointing it out that when you do paint it on, you do get some. So this was great, because if you all know this paper, it's paper that tends to make the fountain pen ink look kind of faded, and it didn't really do that to this. This is well saturated, so I really liked it. Okay, and then this is the Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid, the small little pocket-sized one. And here we have it on there. And of course it stands right out on this paper too and looks good. Oh, I guess I'm not turning it over to see. Okay, there was no bleed through here, except for it tried to maybe. No, actually I'd call that heavy shadowing with the stub, and I wouldn't even say that was bleed through. But let me grab the other notebook. Okay, let's flip back and just see. No, it didn't go through the CVS either, and let's see if it went through the little Moraman. I don't think it did, but I can't recall. Okay, it may have tried to go through that first notebook, the little Moraman from, this is a Japanese notebook that it came from days ago. So, okay, resuming our regular program here. Okay, I did write down stub bleeds through slightly. That may have just been my quick observation, but I don't know. That wouldn't really trouble me too much. That's just shadowing, I think. I really liked it in there too. I liked it on almost everything. Okay, this is Live Notes by Pen Gallery with 68 GSM Tomoe River paper and a dot grid pad. This is like a little insert for a traveler's notebook. Okay, and wow, it just really stood out on here. I like this very much. Look at how that looks on that paper. There's the broad nib. Oh, I didn't do the boxes until I got down to here. I paused it. Oh. Oops. Technically speaking, I've got a lot to learn. Okay, so here we are. We've got broad nib with a yo-wo, and then we've got the Lamy fine nib, and then finally the Lamy nib on the wing sung down here, the little stub. And then I did box in so we could kind of get a quick look there. Let's see if that helps you any. So I really like this sample, this ink, very, very much. Let's go ahead and hop on to Tomoe River 52 gram paper. And I usually compare it with the other, and I put this away already. Let's see. Let's grab my other hand, see if I can find it again. Okay. So, everything's looking a little bit dark. I do see more sheen on this 52 GSM Tomoe River. It comes out a little bit red sheeny, and it crinkles, and it has that shading effect there on this paper. So let's just do that quick comparison, then I'll put that one away. Let's see here. Not too much difference really, except for in the painted on portion, I guess. But I liked it on both Tomoe River paper samples. I really did. It's nice and dark. It's very business-like. Got it in the broad nib, the fine nib, and the stub. And I wrote an entire pen pal letter with it, and I wrote a letter to my mother. And my mother is kind of visually impaired, so she likes a real saturated dark ink. And so this is a good solution for writing to her. Very nice, especially in the broad nib. Okay, here is Clairefontaine 90 gram French rule paper. Makes a great showing on there too, because keep in mind, I found it to be very flowy. Not only saturated, but it's nice and wet. It comes out of all of these, even the Lamy fine nib. There's just no hesitation there. And you can probably see that looks almost as good as the Lamy stub. Very good. Let's see if it went through. Okay. I'm surprised on that. Must have poured it on because, oh well, let's not evaluate that. Something went wrong later on in the day, and you'll see that later what happened. So I cannot determine. It could have gone through a little here, but that also could have been the accident, and I'll tell you about that when you see the visual journal. Okay, here is the Rhodia 80 gram dot grid paper, and it looks good on there too, I think. Boy, I'm editorializing a lot. There's the broad nib, the Lamy fine nib, and the stub. If I remember right too, the stub really agreed with the Rhodia paper, but I was having a little bit of issues with the pen, so I'm not going to be able to grade that pen very well, or that nib, because of the pen. Probably going to stick that right back into a Safari and see if I can use that nib on there and do some comparisons. Okay, and then one more paper sample. I was particularly interested to see how it did on the Georgia Pacific 20-pound copy paper. This is super cheap copy paper. And we still got feathering on the, with the broad nib, but then really not much of that at all with the fine nib. It looks okay, and it is very saturated, so that's interesting. But I didn't, okay, and then we turn it over and there's quite a bit of bleed through, and that makes a lot of sense to me because this ink is dark, fully saturated, dark, and we're seeing that it has semi-permanent attributes here by the water test, so that doesn't surprise me. So it wouldn't, this is super cheap. Probably you'd have to do your own tests, get a sample and do some tests on the paper you want to use, but there we have it. Okay, so let's look at this again. We could still read it quite well. Most of the color's still there, but it lifted and fuzzed out a little bit, but that's quite interesting. Very, very interesting to me. Okay, now I'm going to set up for the color comparison panel. Okay, this is the first day, and so this is really an experiment of me using a little cardboard with some of these little corners. Let's see if I can grab them. They're down here. These were sent to me by pen friend Bill, and they are clear corners. They kind of, that I can slide these cards into. But I expect this is going to take me a little bit to get used to it and to figure out what's going to work the best. I've got it kind of propped up today, but our ink of the day is in the middle. And this will give me a chance, to kind of like, pull them out and then replace them. But I'm not too, quick at it yet, so just bear with me. Here's Fountain Pen Revolution Blue Black in the middle. And we got quite a few to compare it with. We've got, my goodness, Tasha Blue Black here to the left. And then this is a Pilot ink, Pilot Iroshizuku Shinkai on the right. And then down below, I really thought that Nemesine Pallades Blue Black, I thought that was a contender. It looks quite a bit like it. Maybe doesn't have quite as much of that bright blue coming out. And then I just reviewed Pelikan Edelstein Tanzanite, this down in the left corner here. That's a really pretty ink that has quite a bit in common with it. It's got just a little bit of red sheen, and it's real pretty, but there's no comparing the price. So if you're looking for a much more affordable blue black, and if you like the properties of this, it's a real contender. Fountain Pen Revolution Blue Black. Here's Noodler's 54th Mass up above, just so you can see how it compares. It isn't quite as, it's a little bit different, that's all. You can see that for yourself. And same with Diatramentis Night Blue Sherlock Holmes. It's got kind of a brighter presentation there. But you can see even on here how this ink, the Fountain Pen Revolution ink, does move around, but it doesn't completely take the dots away. And here, Noodler's 54th Mass, it's not really moving around at all. It barely even picks up any of the ink. So that's a permanent ink. And this one, I would just call it semi-permanent. I'm not sure what they call it. I probably should have checked into that. Okay, down here, there's Caran d'Ache Magnetic Blue. And it reminds me of that, but I think we're seeing quite a difference in the color. And then up in the right-hand corner, Aurora Blue Black, which is another really flowy blue black. And I see that it moved around, but it didn't do like the Pilot ink did. It still stayed a little bit visible underneath, so there's a possibility those two would be more alike. Okay, so I've got a few more, but I'm wondering how this will work, but we'll see. One way or another, we'll get them on here, but let's see what we're going to move first. Let's move the Pilot one and the Diatramentis. Okay, and we'll bring in a couple of different ones. I just wanted to show Kaweco Midnight Blue, so I'm going to put that one in there. There's Kaweco Midnight Blue. And then Diamine Blue Black, even though it doesn't really look like it, I did want to show you. Now this is pretty neat. They may not all be cut the same though, so I may I may have trouble putting them in. So Diamine Blue Black, It's in a different color zone, I think. I mean, from what I can see, it's just a tad brighter, and it comes across different. And then it's so funny that I would be so crazy about this Fountain Pen Revolution Blue Black because it doesn't have as much of that purple or that deeper color as the Kaweco Midnight Blue. But I think several factors kind of stack up to make me favorable toward this one. And I'm surprised. Nothing has knocked out Kaweco Midnight Blue too well until now, until this one. So I'm just mentioning that. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more. What are we going to get? Let's get rid of Caran d'Ache Magnetic Blue. I don't believe I'd buy that one because I don't like the price, so I'm kind of funny about that. Let's see. How about Noodler's Black and Blue? It just doesn't look anything alike. It's quite a bit brighter, but I wanted you to see it because there it is. And that way you could have a chance to compare it. Okay, I've got another one. See, sometimes I don't know. Okay, let's get rid of Noodler's 54th, all right? Let's put down Birmingham Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon, all right? And like I said, I'm going to work with this panel and get more comfortable. I may be able to reinforce the bottom, make it a little stronger so it'll stay at a better angle for you. There are a couple Birmingham inks. I don't know that I have them all out that kind of do remind me of the Fountain Pen Revolution ink. But you can see that you would have a disappearing act. I'm pretty sure you would because none of those dots on the paintbrush stayed, and here they did. So you know, if that's important to you to be able to read if you do spill, then that's something to keep in mind, I guess. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of this one since it really is different colored. And I've got a couple more. Here's Pilot Iroshizuku Shinkai. It seems a lot lighter to me, but I don't have a lot of experience yet with that ink. And we have to keep in mind that could have been a fluke. You know, sometimes these are like chromatography and they come out differently. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this one. That doesn't look... But Papier Plume de Bleu, I did want to put down. That was a really pretty ink. I actually wonder, though, about availability on that one. But I thought you might want to see it. So, pretty neat. Lots of blue-black choices. But I am really favorable toward this ink. I don't mind the fact that that it is, oh, excuse me, semi-permanent like that. You know, I don't know that I'd address the envelope with it, but I certainly would know that my letter, if it got a little rained on, it wouldn't completely be gone. So that's cool. Okay. So let's look and see what happened in the visual journal. This is where I had an accident, but I'll explain about that. Let's see. Oh my goodness. This desk is getting crowded. Okay. So here it is, and it did show some complexity, and it you know, you could kind of see what I was going for with the trees and it looks like a stormy background. I thought that was neat. And out came some kind of a yellow and green and a little bit of contrast, and the bright blue came out too. I really liked that. Then over here, this part, there was a definite accident. I laid down that Clairefontaine sample paper on top of this, and this hadn't fully dried, so I got a dot there, and I got all of this, you know, this was the Copper Noir. That was the Monteverde Copper Noir drawing right up through that page. That's too bad. It was an accident, but I liked how this looked. I really thought you got lots and lots of detail, and that's what I'm going for with the Nick Stewart technique and with doing this art journal technique. I love it when there's more than one color. And it has shading and highlighting and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this one. And I'm not sure what's next for ink, but I would like to hear what you think of this Fountain Pen Revolution Blue Black. I thought it was really pretty, and I took into consideration a lot of things about it. The fact that it seemed so nicely saturated, it flowed really well, and it has that semi-permanent attribute, which helps. And then the price is right. I mean, even not on sale, it is very, very affordable ink. But on sale, the larger bottle gives us 11 cents a mil. That's pretty incredible, actually, especially if you're going to use lots and lots of the blue black ink. So I'll leave you with that, and let me know in the comments what you thought, and then I'll be getting busy resuming my ink sorting and going through all of these samples, and keep popping up with reviews for you. So bye for now.